Workshop Live jazz guitar teacher Tom Dempsey just released a new CD called What's Going On. We caught up with Tom and his musical partner, bassist Tim Ferguson, at a recent show at the Castle Street Cafe in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. We asked them, what's going on? And we'll find out right now. Let's roll on Live Light.
Well, for a gig like this, the biggest part of preparing for the gig is getting the music together. A lot of this gig, for what we're going to play, we're going to do a lot of my original tunes. So there's a lot of arrangements that are involved, and I just have to make sure that everything is straight for the band. Sometimes in a big theater, you don't get that same level of connection as you do with an audience in a place like at Castle Street Cafe, where everything is really close together. And then, you know, just come and play. I mean, this is what I do every single day. It's not that I won't be thinking about the audience necessarily, because they're intrinsically connected to the performance. They definitely, I feed off of their energy. And in some ways, the music that I'm playing ends up shaping the vibe in the room. And that's how they'll be influencing what I'm doing. Every single gig has its intrinsic challenges and its intrinsic characteristics that are very unique to that particular gig at that specific moment. You know, as far as something like this, where there's going to be definitely a listening crowd intermixed with a crowd that's having dinner and intermixed with people who are there to socialize with one another. The idea is to take all those different dynamics and somehow shape that into the performance. And that, a big part of what helps shape that gets to be involved in the tunes that I end up selecting. And you can really make that connection with the audience and shape the music accordingly.
Well, thanks, Tom and Tim, and good luck with the new CD. Well, earlier we met Lee Everett, and he took some amazing concert photos here at Music Inn. And right now we're lucky enough to have with us the owner of the Music Inn from 1970 and 1979, David Rothstein. David, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here with us on Workshop Live TV.
Pleasure to be here again.
So this plaque really says it all. It's unbelievable. Arlo Guthrie, Bonnie Raitt, Bruce Springsteen, Randy Newman, Doc Watson, Joan Baez, of course James Taylor. What was it like being here during that period of time?
Well, it seems like quite a while, and they say that if you remember it, you weren't here. So it was different things for different people, but it was definitely came out of the counterculture. It came out of Woodstock. It came out of the music, and the times were changing, and we just happened to be here when they got here. But it was Arlo country to start with. The movie Alice's Restaurant had come out.
Can you tell us the connection between Arlo being the first one to play here and his dad?
Woody opened the Music Inn in 1950 when Stephanie Barber started it. Arlo called up and said, Pete and I'd like to do our own little show in the fall.
Pete Seeger.
Yeah. I said, okay. And so they did. But as soon as the town heard about it, they got injunctions to stop this concert, right? Where the town was going to, I mean, it was a threat to the peace of the community to have Arlo Guthrie and Pete Seeger doing a nice little outdoor picnic concert in the fall for.
Right.
So we got dragged into court. We had pictures.
Oh yeah.
Standing on the steps of the courthouse in Springfield.
Something
and
about Arlo in the courthouse.
And injunctions and things like that. And finally the judge said, "Oh come on, go ahead and do the concert."
Oh great. So how many people would show up for a show?
When we started, 2,000 or 2,500 people. And then James Taylor came along in 1970. People had just discovered who he was. And, oh my God, 7,000 people showed up. We had gridlock in front of Tanglewood. People parked their cars in the street. Everybody walked in. I mean, that was the sign of things to come. In the end, in '79, the Kinks, I think we had, I guess now I can say it, right? I couldn't say it then, maybe 14 or 15,000 people.
Really?
Which we couldn't handle.
Right.
But you couldn't stop the flood. You know, that really was, it was the last hangout of Woodstock Nation. And the story is more about the audience than about the artists, I think. Although the music was part of it.
Right.
Bob Marley and the Wailers and Lou Reed, and you know, these were, you know, once in a lifetime events, outdoors in a great setting. But the whole tenure of the times had changed. Disco had arrived, right? So it was sort of time to end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for creating that musical history for us.
Pleasure.
That's great. Nice to meet you. You've heard only part of the story about the historic Music Inn. To see a cool preview for a documentary about Music Inn, go to projectilearts.org. To take a lesson from any of the Workshop Live teachers you've seen, go to WorkshopLive.com. And that's going to do it for this edition of Workshop Live TV. I'm Dan Hofmann, and until next time, that's a wrap.